So dudes, in this video, I'm going to be showing you 10 different solo queue strats that you can use in your ranked games right now to get the upper hand. You don't need to have crazy gun skill to do these setups. This is all rope memory stuff thought out in advance, and they will give you utility and gadgetry advantages that the defense or the attack is not going to be expecting most of the time. To demonstrate these work in solo environments, I'm just going to do them in custom games by myself just to show you how easy they are, starting with Sam on Bank. All right, so this is going to be a quick and efficient way to clear bank roamers. When you spawn jewelry front, you can get a camera in the building from these big windows, pretty much right at the jump. It's going to take a second. Then when it attaches to the ceiling, turn around and shoot the default. This particular camera is really strong because it sees a little bit deeper into the second floor as well as this side by Kanto. We're going to set up another flank cutoff cam. Get on north window rappel. And it's a little bit easier to see if you shoot the glass out. Towards the left of the window, you see this red, this advertisement looking thing? We're going to aim directly at that. But we have to aim directly at it, okay? Don't deviate too much here. This is important. Now we have a cam cutoff for... I always mix these up. E3? No. E1. E2. I hate this. E1, stupid. E2 right, E2 left, E3. What's good about this cam is that it's going to be used mostly as a microphone before you use it as a camera. And the reason this is good is because they're not going to see the cam, the roamer that is not going to see the camera until they clear the corner. So as long as you hear the footsteps, you'll be fine. Then you can swap back and forth between these cameras and you pretty much have most of the top floor. And this flank, for the most part, is pretty solid, so you can start working on the basement hit. To be a little bit more thorough, you can burrow a camera on the other side here for tellers, and this will clear J-desk and make sure that you're not getting flanked by a cav or something. Most of us know that hatch control can be the difference between winning or losing a site take. You can hit a timing with the drops and then cut off defenders that aren't expecting it, and you can hold defenders in awkward positions they don't want to be in. But on this site in particular, there's a strong counter to hatch play, and that's Azami. It all has to do with perspective. For instance, this is a strong pixel angle to hold for the bottom of main stairs until this hatch gets blown open. If you're Azami, well, not so much of an issue now. And there aren't a lot of options to deal with it outside of a Gon 6. This angle in particular is quite vulnerable because they can shoot you in the feet. Until you do this. Can't see a thing. This entire doorway is pretty much safe now. You can also create little pixel angles to hold on this big table. If somebody pushes out from Moto, there you go. If walls open and they want to plant by this bar, there you go. Azami is super powerful on this map in general, but she's really good on this site for the hatch play and the amount of off angles she can create in church. Not to mention, if you're feeling up to it, the ACS-12 is actually a really good site setup gun. And that 1.5 will help you play a lot more defensively. Plus, you have impact grenades to deny the plant. Azami's super versatile. She brings so much utility to the table, and her guns are solid on top of that. A lot of the time, the defenders won't even allocate resources to defend this quad wall on Coastline, so you can pick an ace and get away with opening it. A couple things to consider. This is a vulnerable position. You can get shot from a number of different angles. You can get shot from this window, parts of the courtyard, VIP, this hallway. So I would suggest throwing it from a distance and then baiting for the kills if you have to. Right, if somebody tries to shoot it. That's an example. Try not to get it caught on these ropes, because then you can't recover it. There are a number of things you can do with this wall open now. Mainly, it's going to prevent somebody from playing in pink, which is nice. Depending on how much you open the wall or where you put the Selmas, somebody might rat in a corner. Either way, just getting any openings on this wall at all is going to be helpful, because it's still cutting off positions they can play. And you can hold it in relative safety as well. Here you can see this kind of cuts off cover behind the pool table. If you aim the Selma just a little bit higher than I did here, you can actually cut off the hookah rotate. You can cut off a big double door entryway here. Sometimes angles don't look like much of a pain to deal with from outside, but as a defender, even just the uncertainty of this is kind of annoying, right? Like I'm kind of trying to gauge like where I can get shot in the feet here. Theoretically, I can get shot, right? No one's going to be doing a geometry exam to try and figure out exactly where. They're probably just going to not peek it at all. So this is practical pressure that you can get in terms of holding angles, and it's also a ton of soft pressure too. Look at all the positions I can get shot from here. Pretty much anything along these railings. on the roof. Like, yes, I can rat here theoretically, but all it takes is somebody to peek me here. It's just not safe. It renders a lot of this room pretty much unsafe as long as somebody is on the roof. In low elo, I don't see people really care about this wall as much. In high elo, sometimes you'll see Cade allocated to it, mute, which is why it's not a terrible idea to ask if we can get a Thatcher to throw some EMPs on the roof. I know this is a solo queue video, so I'm making this video not anticipating that. But if you're an attacker repick and you don't see anything in the wall, swap to ace and you'll get a ton of visibility into this site. Cut off the rotate, cut off the double door. Helps out with the execute a lot. You can do an aqua overtake with this wall open a lot more easily. Then we get into one of my favorite operators to play, especially for Oregon, Goyo. Goyo doesn't get a lot of love anymore. He was really good during the utility simulator a couple of years back. I should say a few years back. You can use the TCSG for site setup. I suck at making rotates with this thing, don't judge me. I think that's efficient, yeah, whatever. All right, cool. Those are the walls and the holes. So what am I doing? 2 Goyos for master door, a Goyo for top white, and a Goyo for the attic drop. Beware of Twitch. Beware of Twitch. If you're playing deep in attic, this is going to cut you off. So like I said, beware of Twitch. But even then, if you're playing in the back, like if you're playing on this wall and you're holding master, for instance, we have a little system here. There's a method to the madness. Trophy player. It's going to hold master. These things last 20 seconds apiece. Even if Twitch decides to blow these things up, that's still time that's being wasted. Usually the attack is going to try to open the wall as soon as possible. So for 40 seconds of time denial, we shoot 1 Goyo. We chill. We cycle cams. Maybe we fight somebody coming up armory stairs. Maybe we fight someone on the window. We're waiting. We're waiting. We're waiting. We're waiting. Oh, master balk. Master balk. Tagged, right? We're going to do all the gunfighting stuff. And then... So we've wasted 40 seconds and we didn't do anything, right? We're not smoke. We're not using C4. We literally just put a thing on a thing and then we shot it. We don't have to take a fight. We don't have to take a gunfight here. So we just sit back and we chill. We don't have to worry about losing a gunfight. So that's 40 seconds wasted. Then this Goyo can will prevent the attic drop. This is going to be really useful for your bunk player. What these Goyo cans are going to do is they're going to prevent timings. They're going to prevent timings for the attack. They're going to make it more difficult for the attack to set up crossfires on you so you can take another gunfight somewhere else. You can reposition, right? It buys you time. And then the other common pinch angle here is for top white. So your bunks player who is holding down B, if the master push doesn't work out because you've set up the Goyo cans there, if that master push doesn't work out, they're going to try to rotate towards the attic and white. So that Goyo helps you and this Goyo also helps you. And then again, you don't have to do anything. The fire will even go through the doorway, kind of, and covers a pretty decent amount of ground. Now, for the bulletproof camera, there's a lot of flat walls on this site, so it's tough to find a spot where it's not going to get shot from. I like to put it here next to trophy door. The door frame covers it from the side, and it's probably not going to get shot from the right, really. So it will provide info on anybody coming through trophy. The only way for people to deal with it is to come up and melee it, and usually, if they're this close, if they get into this room, they're going to get shot from bunks. And then they can hear the plan on the camera as well. So that's Goyo for top floor. Now I'm going to show you why Grim is one of the best verticality operators for border. No, I'm not kidding. So assuming that this is droned out, I would drone ahead. Just to be safe. There's a lot of rat spots for this section. Okay, so drone. Drone, 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 drone. Supply clear. All right, like there's so many rat spots, right? Like rat, rat. So just be careful. Small office clear. Customs clear. Okay. We got our flank cut off. You really want to see this bottom metal rundown. Really important. We're going to take the bailiff. You're going to shoot underneath at this spot right here. Kind of see where the wall intersects with the tile. And then you want to get the aiming point right between the center. Okay. The center between the 2 metal bars. If the angle is too like off, it'll bounce off. So you need to thread it. You need to make sure that the canister goes through the bars. It's, you know, it's not as small as you think. But once you do that, your bees will cut off Brazil spot. Brazil spot is commonly played for a CC extend. If you are doing an armory hit, this spot is going to be contested quite a bit. People who are not morons will try to prevent you from taking CC. This spot gives them a ton of cover to play off of. You can get tricky with the bounce feature as well. So what I just opened up is usually going to be a default rotate. Hit the bounce feature. And then it should bounce towards the rotate. There you go. So it's even more of a pain in the butt. So now nobody can rotate in without getting marked. So people say, dude, it's just an extra drone. It's just a drone that you can bounce. Yeah, that's not unhelpful. Because if this guy calls for help and then somebody goes through the rotate, now they can't rotate in without getting marked by the bees. So that tells you that 2 people are here in CC, not just 1. Or maybe you saw 2 already and then somebody else is rotating here. So now there's 3, not just 2. If there's 3 people here, hey, maybe you can rotate and then go for a different site hit altogether and then overwhelm with man count. If Armory is giving your teammates too much trouble, this requires you to have a little bit more map control than you would for that particular Grim setup. So again, anytime you watch these videos and you're like, bro, they can shoot you from here, like drone, right? Just be careful. But yeah, shotgun with the bailiff. And remember, the bounce feature can help keep you safe while you do this. Now you just cleared half wall. Look how much of the floorboards you can shoot here. You can clear this angle. If you go into a custom game and you take 30 minutes to just learn the specific spots, I promise you, you're going to get a ton of leverage out of Grim, even in a solo queue environment, especially on this map border. So an operator that's fallen just a tiny bit out of meta ever since Fenrir got added is Melusi, but I still bring her on Skyscraper pretty often. I remember playing her in a competitive environment for this particular site quite often. That was my job. So I'm going to put a Melusi wub on this staircase here. I'm going to put a Melusi wub for drum by the door. And then another Melusi wub for top black door. This is going to guard a flank. We like hard angles. We like hard 90-degree angles with Melusi traps because it's going to be more difficult for them to be dealt with. It requires the most amount of crosshair deviation. Most people, when they aim over here, it's going to take them a little bit of effort to come right back to gunfighting right away unless they're Shaiko. The same principle kind of applies here. But if you can get away with really unique geometry like this, where there is a 90-degree angle plus a staircase, that's really useful. So what I'm going to do for Karaoke T is I'm going to play Shrine. If you can ask for a shield, go for it. If not, don't worry about it too much. Just play a little bit more tucked. But we're going to do what I call trapdoor spider gameplay. We're just going to wait for the trap to go off and then swing right away as soon as we can. What we do like about Melusi's is that unlike Fenrir's, where the movement isn't guaranteed, right? Somebody can just stand in the Fenrir and pre-fire you or just sprint away. Melusi's pretty much guarantee that if somebody has like sprinted up this kind of threshold, they're definitely going to be slowed. They're not going to be moving as much. And we can kind of guesstimate a little bit more efficiently where they're going to be. So I know that every time this trap gets activated, they're going to be in that general vicinity. You want to pounce on this as fast as possible. As soon as you hear the trap going off, go for the swing, get the pick, run away if there's too many people. The cool thing about this particular position is that depending on how things go, if you have an extended roam over here in house and you can tell that they're kind of moving away, you don't have to stay on this forever. Also, that's what the bulletproof camera is for, right? Bulletproof camera here. If you need to be closer over here by drum side, you can play here tucked on drum, hop on the cam occasionally. If there's drones, EMP the drones. Then you can play for the drum walk-in. So you're pretty much cutting off these 2 highways. Every time I talk about Skyscraper, I always say it's a lot like 2 railroads kind of stacked on top of each other. That's kind of how the traffic goes on Skyscraper. This is a highway right from office towards drum. This is a highway right disconnected by Shrine. This is a highway from office over towards drag. And so what I can do, because of Shrine, I can go back and forth between the highways and pretty much control the traffic unless they decide to hit the staircases. So we have the Melusi to cut off the top black flank just to kind of plug a hole in the defense. And then I can go back and forth between these 2 spots. I can play drum, I can play drag. And I can do it pretty self-sufficiently on my own for the most part. All right, so with Ying, I think a lot of people have this idea that there's no thoughtfulness put in the gadget. I mean, there isn't. But there is a little bit more than you might think. So one of the things about Ying is that in order to get a lot of leverage out of the gadget, she does have to expose herself just a little bit, right? If I'm not careful here, like what's the point in flashing top fireplace if I'm just going to get shot while I'm throwing the nade, right? That's not really smart. So what we're going to do here for Chalet top floor, and this is something you can do in a solo queue environment, is we're going to take advantage of the rolling feature. The rolling feature actually allows you to get a lot more creative with the timing and the placement of them than you might think. Anyway, so this is called ramp in a competitive environment. I don't know how often it gets called that in ranked. I don't know how often people even play on this spot in ranked, but you are now because you're watching this video. All right, see the lip of this wall? We want the Candela to hit that and then bounce towards the left. So the collision model for this is a little bit weird. I like to go a little bit high just to make sure, but then it all has to be kind of one quick sweeping motion. So we roll a candela towards Ivy like this, another one towards Fireplace like this, check library, and then just like that, we have Fireplace control. A couple things have to be done ahead of time for this to work though. So you should have a drone in piano, I would suggest. This is a good pre-place to have. Quickly get on this and then go for the play, making sure piano is clear. You should also have a drone maybe on blue. Check to see if blue is clear. Check to see if library is clear. But for the most part, especially if the site is kitchen or if the site is basement, it is not uncommon to have a top floor roam. Somebody is going to be playing up here in Fireplace, trying to contest you and make sure that you can't get verticality going. But this is a great way to just clear map control as quickly and as efficiently as possible. That's what Ying is good at. She is good at doing things in a fast amount of time in terms of making sure that you can get one particular piece of map control uncontested. Depending on what you drone, you can also switch up the candelas just a little bit. If you know that this side of the map is clear instead, then you can utilize the cooking feature like this. You can toss it at the ground, and usually that will clear anybody off the top blue and anybody trying to peek right directly off of the library door. It can play off a contact for the library door swing here. So again, droning, you want to drone as much as possible. You can probably get this drone up here, maybe not at the very beginning of the round, but probably right after the prep phase ends. Again, we can use the drone for sound calls. People will make footsteps by library. They'll make footsteps by Fireplace. Just throw the freaking candelas and swing. Now I'm going to show you why Maestro is not mid, especially since he's going to have 3 cameras here pretty soon. So we have our typical wall setup for Kafe basement, or first floor, sorry. Reinforce the small bakery wall. We're going to use the OBS blockers in combination with the cameras to keep them from getting droned out right away. Shotgun the crap off of this kitchen dolly. You'll get a vault prompt if you finagle it a little bit. Kind of lean down so the camera goes a little bit lower, and it will be blocked by the observation blocker. You can get specific with it and try to get the blocker all the way to the side. All right, so this camera is concealed. Now, when Ace tries to throw Ace charges on here, let's say from the main door, the camera can shoot them off. And your second camera is going to go here. Shotgun more crap off of the table. And the cam can be concealed to a certain extent by observation blockers. It's not perfect, but you know, what the heck. We have a little snake kind of set up here of OBS blockers down this hallway, so any drones here in VIP won't be able to see the camera. What this camera is going to do is 2 things. It's going to keep Ace charges from getting the small bake wall, and it's going to be a second line of defense in case this camera goes down right away. You can still shoot Ace charges off with this camera. Depending on how aggressively you want to play with the camera, you can wait for drones to go for the blockers and then shoot them, or you can let them get as close as possible, and then right before they clear the threshold, then you can zap them. You obviously want to be on the lookout for Brava, but because of the observation blockers, it's even going to be difficult for her to see them. For a third camera, you can get really creative with it. You can plug whatever hole in your defense you have. If you feel a little bit more vulnerable towards white, you can put a camera here on like Whiskey Bar. If you feel that they're going to push bakery, you can put a camera here for prep. This setup is already pretty powerful in its own right, but with a third camera, it's going to be even better. For this solo queue strat, we're going to take advantage of the fact that Buck can get verticality going from a distance, unlike Sledge. If the site is below, let's say for a 2-0 count on Expo, this will work from a rappel up top. So drone out meeting, drone out CO, drone out this little wall bit, drone out lawn and vending. In general, I like to keep a flank cutoff here. Okay, so we get on the shotgun, and then we have a very specific angle that we're trying to cut off. Do this quickly or you'll get swung. We buck, and then we shotgun off this little desk here. If I'm a defender standing up in this position, then it's even more vulnerable. Then if you want, you can rappel in and take gunfights on the various pieces of cover in this room. Shotgun holes here. That cuts off cover. There's a lot of cover you can cut off from verticality on this map. There's a rotate over here as well. And more hard cover. Not a lot of ammo, right? Just a couple of shots here. Boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. You can even throw some flashbangs for your teammates if they happen to be pushing. For my last strat, this is something that anybody can do. I really like playing Thorn on Villa just because I like to do this trick with the 50 cal SMG. Good destructive properties. What the heck are you doing? Well, what I'm doing, I'm taking advantage of the fact that the razor bloom traps will go off on a proximity basis. As long as there is some kind of line of sight exposure, they will trip. But I'm trying to get it into the metal bars here. So this activates, and then people usually, you know, they'll look for like the most obvious placements for them, right? Behind the desk, behind the chair. It's just, you know, it's just annoying enough to require a little bit of crosshair placement. And sometimes, you know, it'll trip and then the metal bars will kind of protect it. And we're doing a couple of things at once here. Not just one, but a couple all in a row to basically make a room unpushable. So if somebody keeps sprinting, they'll get punished for sprinting past the chair here. They'll get punished for sprinting past the part of the fireplace here. If you want to be really evil about it, you could put some barbed wire towards the edge of the room, forcing them to get stuck on it. And there's a million things that are happening here all at once. I'm creating a strat literally just based off of the idea of inducing panic. And if you don't think this works at high elo, trust me, it will more often than you think. Inducing panic makes them less receptive to you swinging. So even if the thorns don't kill them outright, it'll get them flustered enough to not be paying attention sometimes. And even if they are looking at this, you swing them, and then sometimes you can have somebody get your refrag by swinging off of this door. The razor blooms throw a huge wrench in the mix. If you're not comfortable allocating everything to one room, I personally think that the razor blooms work better on top of each other, but sometimes I do like to mix it up a little bit. I love throwing these traps on a ceiling geometry like this. People walk right past it, and then, right? We're not throwing these directly on door frames, because if somebody walks through the door frame, they can just, right? Okay, I'm good. This, you know, this is a little different. When this trips off, look how exposed I am, right? If I get up and I shoot it, I can get shot from pretty much any direction. So yeah, Thorn, great on Villa, especially on this site, if you get creative with the placements.